LinkedIn, YouTube. What's up? We're back. I'm Chris Muzan, back with another BizBuzz Live here on this Wednesday. Today, stick around. We're talking about how these Apple Vision Pros will change our landscape. Have y'all been seeing this? Y'all been seeing this new equipment that's out? If you have, stick around. We're going to be talking about how this changes the landscape of our working lives and even some of our like our fun life, I guess. Stick around. All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of BizBuzz Live. I'm your host, C. Muzan. Again, thanks everybody on LinkedIn and YouTube for tuning in. As always, if you want to follow me on other platforms everywhere, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, everywhere that you want to find me. But specifically, the reason why we're coming live now every Wednesday is to talk about the things that are happening in career, in entrepreneurship, in our job life, in the industries that we're in. We get a chance to have a bit of a conversation about it. Happy Valentine's Day to all of those of you that actually celebrate Valentine's Day. This episode is not necessarily a Valentine's Day episode, just because who really does celebrate Valentine's Day, right? Again, for those of you that are married or have significant others, every day should be Valentine's Day, right? Every day you should be showing your spouse or your significant other the love and appreciation that they deserve. But today is just another day. It's February 14th. Either way, we're going to talk a little bit about some technology stuff. Have y'all been seeing these Apple Visions, these goggles that everybody have on? And probably it's not everybody, kind of depends on what city you live in or kind of where you're at. But obviously, this has been a hot topic over the past couple weeks. For those of you that didn't know, Facebook, right, Meta, had created the Oculus or the Quest goggles, which were similar, but these created by Apple have seemed to, I don't know, take social media by storm, take a few more of the early adopters by storm, I guess, so to speak. So just wanted to touch on it today. How is this going to shape how our society, how we live in our society? More importantly, how we do work in our society. If you've seen the commercials to these Apple Vision Pros, some of the commercials are like, this mixed reality of, you're living life with your child or living life with your family, but then at the same time can do work. At the same time can build out the design for your architecture or type that paper or whatever the case is, have your notes screen up. So in a world where we're kind of used to doing things, I don't know, one-dimensional, maybe that's not the right term for it, but where, if you're at work, you're in front of your computer, like that's it. You're kind of doing that. If you're on the phone, you're on the phone. If you're with family or with, around the house, you're kind of around the house. There might be something on TV. But what happens when you're put into a mixed reality, where you could be in the world that you're living in, playing with your family, playing with your children, at work, at the desk, but also in a reality where there's other things operating in your purview, right? Like there's things operating where you can be looking at a computer screen or watching a video or scrolling social media or something that other people won't be able to see. How is this going to impact our society? There's a clip out there of a guy at the Celtics game with it on court, like courtside. And he's got him on, he's courtside, and he's like acting like he's playing with the team. Who knows what he's watching in there? But it kind of looks strange, right? It kind of looks strange. And that's in an entertainment environment, right? An entertaining setting at a sports game. But what about when this permeates our job life? What about if this permeates your work life? Is this something that employers will start to say, like, you can't use them while you're on the job? You can't have those on while you're at your desk or when you're operating heavy machinery, right? You won't be able to have those things on. Is it going to become a restriction? Is it going to become something that has to be banned from work sites? Does this enhance our ability to work? If you now can multitask a bit better, if now you can have multiple things happening in your Apple Visions, right? And you can have multiple things happening that are actually keeping you more productive, that are actually making you more efficient. Could this be the way that our society is moving? Or is it just a distraction? Is it just something to keep us distracted? Is it something that continues to take time away from the things that are most important for us? I think that's the debate. Drop some of your comments. Drop some of your comments down below if you have any comments on what these Apple Vision Pros will do, what Oculus or the Quest 3s can do to our society and to our work life. Drop a comment. What are your thoughts on it? Would you purchase them? This was something that came up again. You guys know, as a financial coach, financial professional, right? Always kind of having the money conversation around these things. Well, let's start with the price, right? The Apple Vision Pros are going for almost $4,000. Almost $4,000, like $3,500, probably $3,900 after tax and shipping or however you get them. So let's just say roughly they're $4,000. Now, some of you out there might have $4,000 to spend on them, but others of you might want to pick up the monthly plan or think picking up the monthly plan is going to be smart. There's a monthly plan we saw on Apple's site that said that these you can pay like $292 a month over the year. I think it's over 2 years, or I'm not sure how long, 18 months, but it's like $292 a month. That's like a car payment for some people, a low car payment for some people, right? But some people probably could chalk it up as like, oh, well, these are cool, so I'm gonna now just put them on a monthly kind of payment plan, which again, as a financial professional, not smart. If you can't buy it outright multiple times, you probably don't need it. There's your financial tip for the day, right? There's your financial wisdom for the day. If you can't afford it multiple times, you probably can't afford it at all. So let's not have this monthly payment go longer than it needs to. But some of you out there are going to do that. And you're going to take on that expense just to live in this, mixed reality, this augmented reality. There's a little bit of AI and a little bit of augmented reality in there. And some of y'all are going to pick up that price tag. So again, for those of you that cannot afford it, right, I highly recommend don't afford it, right? If you got some extra discretionary money and you want to be an early adopter and get into this world, by all means, $4,000. If it doesn't break the bank, go ahead. But I'm really curious of what the outcome of all of this is going to be, right? What's the outcome? What world are we moving into where technology takes over our society and our workplace, in all honesty? Just had another article pop up. I don't know if it was I think it was also on LinkedIn. There was another article that popped up that said that the University of Penn is now allowing people to major in AI, literally in AI. Let me see if I can find that article for you and pull it up. But I just read it. Yeah, here it is. Share the screen really quickly with you so you can see it. Students can now major in AI. That's what it says. And it says here, enter undergraduate AI engineering programs with the University of Pennsylvania on Tuesday, becoming the first Ivy League school to say it will offer the major in the fall. Specifically, the coursework will include machine learning, computer algorithms, data analytics, and advanced robotics. Ladies and gentlemen, this AI conversation, this technology conversation is huge. For those of you that have been following along in the stock market, right, and Wall Street, technology companies have done very well over the past decade. Technology companies have done very well over the past 10 years, specifically because our world is moving towards more technology. So, if you are getting into this industry, not just, investing in the industry, but if you're getting into this industry, this is opening up another door where now you can go to an Ivy League school, the University of Penn. They'll probably just be the first movers in this. There are probably other universities and institutions that will offer degrees in it as well. But you get a chance to now major in AI, and it's a form of engineering, right? Obviously, you see there it's a form of analytics and robotics and those types of things. But again, where does this lead our society? Where does this take our job market? Should more people be thinking about majoring in AI and engineering and robotics and those things when we see these Apple Vision Pros come out and people are adapting to this life very quickly, driving the car with them, going to the store with them, going to events and games with them on. Eventually, before you know it, the price might come down a little bit. And we already touched on that. If you want to pay $290 a month, you can get it and have it right now. Maybe the price comes down from 4,000 down to 2,000, who knows? And then this becomes something that is prevalent in our society. Well, how do we handle it? How do we handle being in both the actual realities that we live in and then also this digital reality, this mixed reality life? And again, how does it affect our work? Remember, the reason why we're doing BizBuzz Live is so we can talk about the industries and things that are changing and disrupting our industries, our job markets, our entrepreneurial endeavors, our businesses. And technology is one of those things that changes the landscape of almost everything. Again, we've seen it over the past 10 years, just how social platforms and the internet has grown and all of those, and it's changed the way we've done business. It's opened up new careers for people. When was being a digital marketer a career, right? And over the past decade, people have made money being digital marketers, marketing products digitally, because the internet has taken over in how we consume and how we buy things. So on the same token, again, from a work perspective, how does this technology impact our work? Does it make people lazier? Does it make people, check out a little bit sooner? If you can have your Apple Vision Pros on, or you can have your Oculus, or you can have your Quest, or whatever device of the day is, when you can have those on and you're at your place of work, are you getting more work done? Are you becoming more efficient? Or are we becoming less efficient? Are you turning more into a human robot where you can get things done consistently? Or is it taking us away from that? Is it becoming more of a distraction? Seems a bit like they're becoming a distraction in society, but I'm always curious of how that translates into our work. Some of you are building businesses. Some of you are already on the entrepreneurial journey. Well, how do we embrace technology? How do we embrace the Apple Vision Pro? How do we embrace the new technology of the day to move our business forward? Some of you, again, just highlighted that article that's showing that, again, you can start to major in AI. You can start to major in augmented reality and robotics and data analysis and all of the other things. You can begin to pursue a career in some of those things. So where does this lead? Does this mean that we're going to need more and more people to do programming? I think so in general. But then it takes away a certain amount of jobs. That statistic that continues to pop up, that 60+% or 70% of all jobs are going to be replaced by AI over the next, 10 years or 15 years or whatever that is. It's true. When you have a very efficient system that learns, that has machine learning, that can recognize patterns, that can eventually do work better than a human, well, that's going to become competition for the average worker. It's going to become competition. So in all of this conversation, ladies and gentlemen, around AI, around again, augmented reality, these Apple Vision Pros, all these things. In the light of this conversation, goes back to something we've talked about on other episodes, which is you just have to be able to increase your skill set and have a skill set that actually will benefit you and your family moving forward. There's some skill sets that you might have that will be overtaken by AI, will be overtaken by some of these augmented realities or mixed reality type of technologies that come out. We cannot move faster than technology. So what are you doing? That's the question. What are you doing to put yourself ahead of the game, to get yourself ahead of the curve? What is it that you're doing to place yourself in a position where some form of technology will not wipe out your job? Well, it will not wipe out what you bring to that company or what you bring to your business. This is why I'm having this conversation with you guys, because I want you to think about this stuff. We're moving very quickly in this industry of technology. New things are coming out. It's funny, we showed this video to somebody else on that is in the tech space and kind of understands the technology, and they're like, "Oh, it's about time, right? Like this stuff is old. Like the stuff that they're showing us with these Apple Vision Pros and Quests and all the Google goggles or whatever they're called. This stuff is old. Man, this stuff has been around. This stuff has been in the lab. People have been playing around with this stuff. They're just now rolling it out to mainstream, to the consumers. So how quickly does this speed up where we're going? And the thing that we have to be mindful of, us as workers, as people that want to continue to build our financial life or build that freedom that you're looking for in your life, you have to be ahead of the technologies of the times. You can't allow the technologies to be something that holds you back or to come in and take your job, take your business, any of those things. And the more that we see these Apple Visions and all this stuff popping out, the more you're going to start seeing technology being interwoven into our day-to-day life in society. So again, questions are always, how do you capitalize on it? If you're an entrepreneur, if you're a business owner, if you're in the process of switching careers right now, or you're thinking about switching a career, how do you get ahead of the train? How do you get ahead of where the puck is moving, so to speak? How do you get ahead of it? How do we not go back to old industries, past companies, things that have worked 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago? How do we move forward to what is going to work in 2030? How do we point our children in the direction of what's going to work in 2030? Again, we just saw University of Penn allowing people to get a degree in AI. They're not going to be the last college or the last institution that does it. They might be the first Ivy League one, but they're not going to be the last, because this is where we're headed. So, ladies and gentlemen, the thing I always want you to think about, again, on these BizBuzz lives on Wednesday, the thing I want you to always think about is, how are you putting yourself in the proper position to make sure that financially you can stay afloat, you can stay ahead of the curve. Before, it was picking a great industry that was stable, right? That gave you benefits and all the things you needed. Well, if those things aren't popping up, if the stable career is not there, if the job life is not there in the same ways that it was, what are you doing to increase your skill sets to get you ahead of the curve? Paying attention to technology is one of the easiest ways. Never be fearful of technology, ladies and gentlemen. Just embrace it. Learn it. Learn it. It's important. I used to give this story and kind of have this conversation with a lot of people I was going into business with, probably maybe 5-6 years ago, maybe even longer, where we would start talking about social media. And we would talk a ton about social media, and I would have some younger people and some older people just kind of being like, I don't want to build a business using social media. Like, I don't want to, right? Social media is not for me. Like, I don't understand why people use social media. Like, just giving pushback. And there's some of you listening right now that might be on social that still don't understand why, if you have a business, it's important to be on social media. But this is what I would explain when I'd have this conversation 5 years ago, 7 years ago about social media. is I would say that this is the way people are learning how to communicate. Before, people learned how to communicate by hieroglyphics, right? You want to take it way back. Hieroglyphics. They know how to write pictures and write things that someone could read and decipher what they're trying to say. Obviously, we have the English language or whatever language you speak. There's the written language. There's the words, right? You can make a phone call. You can send a letter to somebody. We've gotten good at sending emails and text messages and those things. Social media was just the next way for us to learn how to communicate with our fellow man, with our fellow woman, with our fellow human being. And so the people 5 years ago, 7 years ago, that chose to not learn how to do it, what I would always say is one day it's going to be beyond social media. It's going to be beyond these platforms that you don't understand. And people are going to start communicating in different ways that if you miss this era, you're definitely not going to be able to catch up to the next era, right? If you missed out on how to communicate via Twitter or Threads now, or LinkedIn or YouTube or any of these places, if you skip that whole genre, that whole era, what do you think the next era is going to be? You think it's going to kind of go backwards? No, of course not. It's going to build on the technology. And so it's quite possible that if you missed out how to understand how to communicate in these forums, on these social platforms, the next iteration of communication, you might not understand it at all. And then you can't communicate. And as a business owner, right? Some of you, right, just have a job. You might not want to change careers or anything. Like, you're okay living the low-key life, and that's great. But for people that own businesses or run a business and you don't know how to communicate, you don't know how to market, you don't know how to get in front of people, that's going to be a challenge over time to your business success. And so if the way that we keep communicating changes and you miss a whole era, you think you're going to come back and still be able to build a business in the next era of technology, highly unlikely. So that's why these conversations around technology are important. Some of you that are listening may never get an Apple Vision Pro. Like, you may just never get it. In all honesty, I don't necessarily want to get it. It's kind of cool, right? I think it looks kind of clunky and bulky, right? I don't know that I'd walk around with it all day. From what I heard, the battery life is only 2 hours, so that doesn't necessarily make it appealing to wear it often. That's, one meeting worth or whatever of time. So it might not be for me, might not be for you. But it's so important to understand what this is doing to our society, what this does to our work life, what this does to our ability to multitask or just bring in new pieces of information. It's so important to stay up on technology, ladies and gentlemen. It's so important to stay aware of what's happening with technology, because eventually this will affect you. It's going to affect your job. It's going to affect your family. It's going to affect the way you communicate, your business, any of those things. It will affect you at some point. Technology is like that huge tidal wave that you can run away from it as long as you want. But at some point, you might just have to learn how to just go right in and hit it and go right through it. It's possible. So I'm just bringing this to your attention, ladies and gentlemen, on LinkedIn and YouTube, just about how this will impact our society. You might see people just having fun and it entertaining people, but trust me, it will have an impact on our work life. So how do you get ahead of it? Learn it. Get good with the technology. Study the technology. Start to build your skill sets maybe around some of these things, so when that time comes where your job or your position is no longer needed, you actually have a skill set of some positions that will be needed in the future. But remember, it's your responsibility to make sure you're putting yourself and your family in the right spot to be able to bring in additional income and support yourselves financially that way. So it's another episode, y'all. BizBuzz Live. Again, drop some comments. If you're watching, drop some comments. I know it's Valentine's Day. You might be out with your significant other. You might be hanging out. You might got some plans tonight. Maybe one of your plans should be talking about technology. Talk about technology. I know it's not like a sexy topic. Like, people probably don't want to talk about it, but it's all good. Talk about something that impacts your career, impacts your financial status in life. Use this Valentine's Day to talk over that type of stuff with a loved one and see where that conversation goes. But until next Wednesday, y'all, we're going to come back with another BizBuzz Live talk about career, job, industry, entrepreneurship with you guys here on LinkedIn and YouTube. Again, feel free to like this if you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Feel free, if you're over on LinkedIn, to send me a message if you have any questions around anything financial, whether it's building your financial foundation or whether it's beginning to build wealth to pass down to your generations. Let's start having these money conversations, y'all. Until next time, enjoy your Wednesday. Happy Valentine's Day. Take care. Peace.